All right, this is problem number 1, and we are being asked to graph this, but using the x and the y intercept. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make sure that I go after the x-intercept by making the y equals 0. So if you want x, y equals 0. If you want the y-intercept, then you make the x equals 0. So whoever you don't want equals 0, and whoever you do want, you solve for. Let me show you. So y needs to equal 0. The y is right here. I'm going to make it equal to 0. Plug in a 0 instead of the y. Drop your junk. 3x plus 6, and instead of a y, there's a 0, and it equals 12. 6 times 0 is 0, so that just goes away. It's gone. And then we have 3x equals 12. How do you get the x by itself? How do you get rid of that 3 that's in front? Well, you're going to divide by 3. The 3's cancel out. X is now alone, and x equals 4. Because 3 goes into 12 4 times. So that will be my x-intercept. And if I want to write it as an ordered pair, which I should, then the answer is I have an x and a y. The x answer is 4. And remember, I made y equals 0. So that's my x-intercept. But I'm not done. I also need my y-intercept. So to get that answer, I need to make the x equals 0 now. Okay, so if I want my y-intercept, now it's the x's turn to be a 0. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my work here. And this time, instead of making the y equals 0, I'm going to make the x equals 0. So that means that my 0 will now go here. Okay, drop your junk. So we have 3x, or 3 times 0, plus 6y equals 12. Again, this piece disappears because anything times 0 is just 0. And now we have 6y equals 12. To get the y by itself, we have to get rid of that 6. It's being multiplied, so I need to divide to get rid of it. Do the opposite to get rid of it. And 6 goes into 12 perfectly. It goes in 2 times. So my y-intercept is 2. I can go ahead and write it with my ordered pair form. So the x and the y. Y equals 2, and my x equaled 0. Remember, we plugged in a 0 for the x. Now I can graph these. I can graph them at 4, 0, which is right here. 4 on the x. And I can also graph the y. The y was 2. So on my y-axis, I can go up 2, and I make a dot there. And I connect my dots, and I'm done. That's how you graph a linear equation using the x and the y intercepts.